What's going on, guys? So today is kind of a sad day. I don't drive my car in the wintertime. I had a Challenger RT Classic a few years ago, and when I bought it, I noticed that on the rear wheel arch, right in front of the rear tire, it was starting to bubble up a little bit, right? And I didn't realize how big of an issue that was with these cars until after I had bought it. And long story short, cost a lot of money to get that repaired. And as I did research on it, I found out that that's a pretty common issue on these Challengers. Because of the way they were built, they've got foam, like sound deadening foam. There's also some of that carpet-like insulation material back there, inside the rear quarters and around the wheel arches and all that. And that stuff just holds water. And so these things are prone to rust out. And so, this particular car came out of Florida and Georgia originally. So it hasn't ever seen road salt at all until it got here to Kentucky. Now, the previous owner might have driven it a little bit in the wintertime. I don't know. Looking up under the car, it doesn't show any signs of that. So I don't think that this car has seen much road salt. But I will not expose it to road salt. I've got a pickup truck to drive in the wintertime. So anyway, long story short, once we get to the end of October, I usually put my car away for winter, and that's what I'm doing today. So I had a car cover on the Mustang, but the Mustang was quite a bit smaller than the Challenger, and it just didn't really fit the Challenger all that well. I got to get a knife and cut this box open. So I went on to American Muscle's website, and I bought a new car cover that I haven't even opened yet, obviously. This one should fit the Challenger. In fact, it was listed as being a custom fit for the Challenger. Now, the cool thing about this cover is that it only cost me a little over $100. It was not an expensive cover, but it had excellent reviews. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on car covers if you want to. There's some really expensive ones out there, but I'm not storing my car outside, obviously. So all I wanted was a cover that would basically keep the cats off of my car. Oh, look, it's got a nice little carrying bag. Something to keep the cats off the car, to keep the car from getting dirty and scratched up out here in the barn over the winter. You know, we're in and out of here with tools and stuff all the time. So I just didn't want to take a chance on scratching it with people walking around it and all that. Got some wire in here. Looks like some kind of grommets. And some kind of an instruction sheet here. So when I bought this on on American Muscle, it didn't really have a whole lot of information on there about the brand. But now that I'm looking at this box, it says Rampage products, part number 1500, Dodge Challenger 4-layer cover from 08 to present models. So we'll see. Let's get it out of the bag here and see what it looks like. I'm going to do a upside down trick here. This bag is kind of tight. Even the carrying bag has some elastic in it. My goodness. Well, doing this live, you're watching me do it as I'm learning to do it. I would venture to say that this is probably not ever going to go back in this bag again. It's kind of like when you buy a new tent and you're getting ready to go camping. And then after your camping is over for the weekend, you try to get it back in the bag and you realize it's futile. And so you just give up. Yeah, that's kind of what's going on here right now. There we go. Good grief. Now it's tied up with a nice ribbon. All right. Now I think we're in business. So let me try to figure out which side of this thing is the front. There's a stink bug. I don't know if you guys have these stink bugs in the part of the country you live in, but they are extremely annoying here in Kentucky. So, first impression, this thing is pretty thick. If I find I'm going to bring the camera over and give you a close-up, but if I find like a single layer of it in here somewhere, it feels like it's pretty thick. And with the challenge with these things usually is just finding the front of it. There's some elastic, so that's probably either the front or the back. And it's not labeled anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag the elastic part over to the back. And I can always swap it around if I need to. But yeah, I can tell you though, this is feeling pretty nice. It's got a thick texture to it. Now, one thing I'm noticing, where I put that ceramic spray on the car and made the car really slick, the cover is tending to just kind of roll off the car as I drag it. And I think I'm in business now. First time you put one of these on, it can be a little bit of a chore. Got a piece of straw there. All right, I'm gonna go over the front of the bumper, like so. You're gonna have to go back there and do some adjustment. I think I got it right because you can see right here, these are the pockets for the exterior mirrors. And I need to pull those out. So I did it right. But yeah, that's a thick material. You can tell that it's multi-layered as advertised. So that's good. It's got perforations in it, which I assume are for the purpose of letting it breathe. You want these things to be able to breathe, because we have, you know, here in the eastern part of the country, we have weather that goes up and down all the time. One day it'll be humid, the next day it'll be bone dry. You never know what you're going to get. So it produces a lot of moisture. And so when you're putting a cover on your car like this, you want to make sure it's one that can breathe pretty good. All right, so I got the rear pretty much where it's supposed to be, I think. It is a very snug fit. I'm a little surprised. Now this cover, as you can see right here, there's one of those grommets. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. I don't think I need to tie it down any. Because again, it's just going to be out here in the barn. It's not going to be exposed to the weather. There we go, put the mirror in there. That's all you need. Now the cool thing about the elastic that's on these covers is that periodically throughout the winter, that mirror slid right in on its own. How about that? So periodically throughout the winter, I have to come out here and start the car. And if the car were to, let's say the car were to die on me, the battery went down, I didn't come out here often enough to start it and let it run, and the battery did die, you got to be able to get in there and charge the battery up. I've got a battery tender over there, but if you've got this thing tied on and everything, it can be a pain doing that all the time. So I really like how these covers have elastic in them, because, you know, I can come out here and just quickly roll the cover back a little bit to make access to the driver's door. And then I get in, let the car run for 20 or 30 minutes, shut it off, just to kind of keep the battery charged up throughout the winter. I could take the battery out of the car for winter. I could do that. But every once in a while, we'll have a weekend where maybe the high temperature goes up in the 50s and it's a decent day and we haven't had any decent weather for a few weeks, and all of a sudden we have a decent day and you just want to get the car out and just drive it a little bit. That happens sometimes too. So I don't really want to take the battery out of the car, but I got to remember to come out every so often and start it and let it run. I don't want to just let it sit here for the next 4 or 5 months, you know? So that's why I appreciate the elastic that's on this cover. My previous cover that I had for the Mustang was the same kind of thing. So they're really nice. Now, let me get the camera and bring it over, and I'll show you this fabric up close. All right, so you can see the perforation in it so that it can breathe. It's got a really nice thick feeling to the touch. You know, all the seams are stitched really nice. They've got really big pockets here for the mirrors. They're a little bit too big, but that's not a problem. Better to have more than not enough. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking cover. Fits around the rear nice. All the way under the bumper. So like I said, you know, I've got like things over here. Throughout the winter, I might be walking around the car, you know, and if me or somebody else accidentally gets up against the car, it won't nick or scratch the paint. That's the whole idea here. Just to keep the car looking decent throughout the winter. When spring comes, I'm going to put the paint protection film on the front. Got a buddy that does that. I'm going to have the front end done and that stuff, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking cover. The bag that they gave me appears to be exactly the same material. Let's get it out here in the sunlight. Zoom out a little bit. It's the exact same material. So there's what it looks like on the inside. Now, there's a part number. I'm not sure. Rampage products, part number 1500. I'm not sure how waterproof this thing would be. It was sort of advertised as an indoor-outdoor cover. I think like if you were just putting this on for a light rain shower every once in a while, you'd probably be okay. I don't think this is a cover that you want to put on the car if you're going to leave the car outside permanently all winter long. I don't think it's really made for that. And at this price point, you wouldn't expect that. But again, for this use, if you're under a carport or in a barn or a garage, it's perfect. And every once in a while, if you're outside, it would be perfect. There's some more info again, if you want to get this same cover. But yeah, like I said, I doubt this is ever going to go back in the bag. I'll probably roll it up and maybe stick it in a trash bag or something and store it away over there for summer. But it fits pretty good, nice and snug. So there's one more project down. I'm going to miss this car for the winter time. But like I said, every once in a while, I might be able to get it out. Yeah, and honestly, the Challenger's been a pretty good car this year. I had a check engine light that started to sporadically come on and go off and come on and go off. That started happening at the end of summer. I think that was my fault because I ran some really potent fuel injector cleaner through the engine. And a lot of guys know if you run that stuff through the engine, it might clean the fuel injectors, but it's really hard on your catalytic converter, your O2 sensors, all that stuff downstream. It's really hard on those parts. So ideally, you don't really want to do that very often. But I started getting that check engine light not long after I ran that stuff through there. So I figured that that product that I ran through probably has begun to foul my O2 sensors. That's what the code was for, by the way. Bank 2, sensor 2. So live and learn. When spring comes, I'll probably get under the car, swap out the O2s. But again, that was my fault. Other than that, you know, you remember back in the spring when I first got this car, it was a project. You know, there's quite a bit that needed to be done. My dad helped me on a lot of it. I had to completely get the gauge cluster redone. Had to put a new axle in the rear of it because somebody had assembled it wrong and it ate the boot up. Went through and serviced the entire car, bumper to bumper. Had to get some body work done on it because it had been neglected over the years. I mean, it was a project, but by the time Memorial Day weekend rolled around, she was looking beautiful, driving great, and it was a great car all summer. It felt like that it was very solid, no creaks and rattles and moans, transmission's tougher than a box of nails. I did end up missing. Last night we were out and I missed third gear. First time since I had this car that I missed third gear. It grinded pretty bad, hurt my feelings, but didn't seem to hurt the clutch or the transmission any. You know, these Tremec transmissions are pretty tough. The old 392 Hemi shows no signs of fading, lots of power, no oil leaks or any issues. It's just fantastic. I saw one of these cars a couple of days ago that had 338,000 miles on the odometer, believe it or not. And the guy swears that it's the original engine and transmission. So apparently these things will go the distance. But yeah, it's been a great car. Had a lot of fun in it. It is a totally different experience than the Coyote Mustangs, but you know, they each have their own characteristics, I guess you could say. But I had a lot of fun in this car, and I expect that it's going to be a lot of fun next year too. We just got to get through winter time. So anyway, we'll see what happens with the car next year. May do a couple other things to it. But for now, I'm tucking her away for winter. Next thing you know, guys, it's going to be snowing out here. And we got some things that are going to be really interesting planned for when it starts snowing this winter. So thanks for watching. I got to get back to work.